Hi there. Yeah,
Okay.
you can hear us, we think. Well, let's hope that's the case. We're going to have to double check that here in just a second. But thank you for joining us. It is time for our sort of nightly travel update that we're going to take a look at here today, and we're going to have another one tomorrow as well. We're concerned about Thanksgiving travel. A lot going on, a lot of people hitting the roads, taking to the skies too.
Yes, exactly. I mean, plenty of vacations starting to be planned. The kids probably had their last day of school today across to eastern Iowa, so trying to get now kids home and see where you guys are going to be heading. Plenty of weather to come as we look ahead towards the next couple of days. It's going to be pretty active. Even just starting tonight, we are seeing some pretty active weather to even get going into this travel and holiday season.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into it. Obviously, some people have hit the road already this week, and tomorrow is one of the big ones. That's when a lot of folks are going to go both on land and sky. I was told that today is the busiest day for flights, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow is like, people aren't flying.
Right.
It means that we may not be quite as busy. So, Camille, give us a little discussion about what we can expect looking ahead for tonight into Wednesday.
Yeah, so looking at tonight, we're going to see our winds increase, showers, and some snow showers are also possible tonight. Some very small areas where we could see just a few scattered shower and snow showers pushing across the area. Most of the rain showers has moved out of eastern Iowa, but really just taking a look at some of those wind advisories that have been put out from the National Weather Service because of some of those very gusty winds that we have been seeing even through the last couple of hours. Saw Sioux City got up to 63 miles per hour for a wind gust that pushed through there. Not seeing that any longer across the area, seeing our winds have died down to about 35 to 40 miles per hour, but still very, very gusty winds. And that wind advisory has been put in place, and that will continue into tomorrow as well for those gusts reaching 40 to 55 miles per hour through most of the day tomorrow. So taking a look at what wind gusts we could see over the next 24 hours. You do see that through tomorrow, more so the overnight tonight, staying out of the west, reaching peak around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we'll see them die down a little bit for that morning commute. Still, though, pretty breezy with winds at about 35 miles per hour, picking up again during the later morning into the early afternoon hours before they die down after that. And once they die down, they'll stay a little bit calmer even through Thanksgiving. Still breezy, but just not as bad as it will be overnight tonight and tomorrow.
That's good news for everybody, frankly.
Right.
So if you're driving, if you got to work Wednesday and you're going to drive tomorrow night, winds won't be as bad. If you got a late flight out of eastern Iowa, either from the eastern Iowa airport or otherwise, if you're driving a little bit to a different airport, things will be a little bit better then too, because we know that flights can obviously be affected by those who can't land a plane when it's too windy.
Right. So we'll have to see definitely tomorrow what kind of airports closures or delays there might be for airlines. So make sure if you're heading out on a plane tomorrow, checking in with your airline. It's definitely going to be pretty important. Some of those airports might be having ground stops because of this. So just keeping that in mind as you head out the door tomorrow. But we also did mention the chance for some snow showers tonight. So taking a look at Pinpoint Futurecast, see that snow showers across the north. A lot of these snow showers are looking to stay north of Highway 30 and will be very, very light when they do push through the area. So as we continue through the early morning hours of your Wednesday, seeing a few of those scattered snow showers pushing across the area even through early tomorrow. But by 8 o'clock, most of the snow showers have pushed off towards the east and will stay out of our area. But even behind that, seeing clearing skies. So as we look ahead towards Wednesday afternoon, our skies start to clear. We're seeing partly cloudy skies, and we'll continue to see those partly cloudy skies, plenty of sunshine throughout your Wednesday and into Wednesday night as well.
And then we get to the big day, right? Thursday. A lot of folks are traveling just locally, right? On Thursday, Thanksgiving, heading to and from friends and family, and luckily it looks like it's not going to be that bad.
No, not too bad at all, really. We're going to continue to see just very mild weather for your Thanksgiving travels. But with that breezy and windy conditions that we have been seeing, plus today being the warmest day of our week with mid-50s, we've seen that cold front push through with those gusty winds, and that will cool our temperatures quite significantly. So as you're heading out the door, over the next 5 days, this is seeing your wind chills in the upper teens, low like low 20s probably across some of maybe our southern counties, but really going to be quite cold. And Sunday, single digits for feels like temperatures in the morning. So keeping that in mind as we start to kind of look ahead towards that. Pinpoint Futurecast again, just picking up where we left off. This is Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. See a little bit of some clouds across some of our northern areas, but really going to be a mix of sun and clouds through your Thanksgiving day. Continuing to see a little bit of some breezier conditions as well, just not as bad as they will be tonight and into tomorrow. Continuing to see a little bit of mix and clouds through Thursday night. So as you're heading home from any of those festivities that you may be having, if you're heading home from any of that travels that where you were, not going to be too bad for Thanksgiving. Really going to be able to get to enjoy Thanksgiving with your friends and family.
Yep, and that's the good news. And then we have something that gets a little more difficult potentially for some of those travelers. But if you're not going anywhere, then maybe you've been looking forward to this. Our colleague, meteorologist Joe Winter, is very excited about what's to come later in the week as the chance for snow looks like it's increased.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for some snow chances, and not seeing any rain now mixing in with that too, which will help with that accumulation potential as well.
Yeah, and that's where we stand. So really what has changed in the last 24 hours is kind of the confidence increase in terms of all the information that we're getting, all the data, all the computer weather models that we use to help make our forecast really shows that this chance kind of has increased, have started to coalesce, pointing one direction toward the opportunity for snow as we go toward Friday into portions of Saturday. And that's why we've decided to put Saturday as a first alert day. You maybe have seen a couple of these over the past few months, a couple for severe weather and one earlier for a little bit of wintry weather too. This one looks like it will be a really good first shot at accumulating snow. And we could end up with a pretty decent amount of snow here, depending on exactly how much moisture gets involved in the system and how long that snow falls for. It really does look like about a 24-hour period where snow will be possible. And yeah, if you have pretty good snowfall rates during that time, that does add up pretty quickly. So here's where we stand. Friday morning, if you're heading out again on the road or a flight that's coming back to eastern Iowa after the holiday, during the daytime hours, things should be fine. If you're headed to the west, for example, that Black Friday football game in Lincoln between the Hawkeyes and the Huskers, well, around game time, it looks like things should actually be on the dry side. If you're wishing for a snow game there in Lincoln, it'd be pretty fun to watch, admittedly. It looks like that snow may stay just outside and just north of that area. However, if you're planning on driving back to eastern Iowa that evening after the game,
that's going to be quite an interesting trek to be making.
Yeah, very well could be. So you may want to think about that travel plan. You may want to think about hotel options depending on how risk averse that you are. And we always encourage when snow is falling and roads get slick that you try to avoid travel if you can. This is when the snow starts to pick up. So here in eastern Iowa, it's going to be after dark and probably toward late evening. So the exact timing, still refining that a little bit in terms of how quickly the atmosphere sort of moistens up and is able to produce snow. But by late evening into the night, yeah, you see those blues get a little bit darker. That does represent a decent shot at light to moderate snow at the very least during the nighttime hours. And that could last into the early portion of Saturday. Now there is one thing I want you to see. As we are doing this, the low pressure system is actually off to our west still, and it's actually developing here over toward the Missouri Valley area, and you can see southerly winds out ahead of it. So we'll be on the warmish side of the system. Now the warm front is going to be somewhere right around here. So we're actually going to still be on the cool side of it, but toward that warm zone. So temperatures will be near freezing, perhaps, as the snow is beginning, and certainly during the day on Saturday. And so you can see that rain and snow line, while Camille mentioned earlier, it is off to our south. It's not going a whole lot. And so think about that distance, and we're actually going to measure it here and sort of look how far away this is from, example, Iowa City. 175 miles, yeah, that's a pretty good distance at this pace. But at this range, still 4 days away, a shift northward of, let's say, 75 miles in the system in a slightly warmer atmosphere. Let's say that the information suggests that it will be warmer. And then you start to wonder about precipitation type issues. The area that may see that as more of a concern would be in southern Iowa. We're not worried about freezing rain, perhaps, but just sort of that rain-snow mix that would cut into that snowy area at least a little bit. So by the time we get toward later Saturday, you can see a pretty good amount of snow still going on. So remember, we started this after dark on Friday, and it's still across a good portion of the upper Midwest. Do also note at that time Now we're talking that rain snow line only being about 80 miles away.
Yeah, so that's where you could start to see maybe some issues on travel, especially if you're planning on Saturday night for your travels at this point. It's time to maybe start considering some alternative timing or alternative ways to get home.
Yeah, and with that area of low pressure, its track still could shift a little bit north or south, but this latest information we have here on Pinpoint Futurecast, taking it right on top of eastern Iowa, yeah, that would suggest generally a little bit of a warmer scenario in general. So what we are expecting is pretty wet snow if this takes place. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be a lot to shovel. And so it's one of those that, especially if you have like a pre-existing heart or lung condition, it may not be the worst idea to sort of go at this in multiple phases, maybe do a little bit in the morning and then do a little bit later at night, so you sort of stay on top of it. So if we do end up with a decent amount of snow, then you're not putting yourself at risk there.
Right. Make sure to help your neighbors too. If you have any elderly neighbors, make sure that they are getting it, their driveways shoveled as well. But today would also be a pretty great day, or tomorrow, to go fill up your gas tank and go fill up your mower, because this snow will be heavy if it does fall within our area.
Exactly. Check that snow blower too, because sometimes you haven't fired it up for the first time this season. You go to fire it up,
having issues.
It's just not there. So you gotta check that out. And with the holiday coming, those repair shops, they may not be available, or they may be charging some weekend holiday emergency rates. And that can start to be a little pricey. But of course, on the flip side, Black Friday.
There you go.
Maybe time for a new snowblower.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. As we go through the rest of your Saturday evening, the system quickly lifts off to the northeast. Now, another good thing about having that low track pretty much directly over us, I'll sort of draw where Pinpoint Futurecast is showing it, that white arrow that we just drew on there, that tends to keep our winds a little bit lighter. In an area of low pressure like this, if you're right near the center of it, the winds are actually pretty light. They get stronger a little bit from the center. And so that is not the worst thing in the world in terms of limiting any sort of blowing snow. Obviously, wet snow doesn't blow as much, but it would limit visibility reductions as the snow is falling, or at least make them not quite as bad as it would otherwise if winds were howling like they're going to be on Wednesday,
Right.
for example. And even wet snow when it's 50 mile per hour winds, that's going to win eventually too. Now the winds do pick up a little bit, or at least they appear to that they will by Sunday, but so too does the sunshine. We may actually see a little bit of sun on Sunday, and we know from past experience how quickly that sun, even as temperatures are below freezing, can really do a number on snow that's left on the roads.
Right.
And so road travelers, if you're thinking Saturday, start to think about either early Friday or wait till Sunday.
Yes, it's going to be key at this point of where we're seeing how Pinpoint Futurecast is showing some of these snow coming through, and how much snow we could even get from this system moving through.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been asking about amounts, obviously, and there's been a lot of hype on the internet, a lot of people posting things with interesting language. I don't know if you've seen some of the posts.
A little bit, yes.
Someone asserting that Satan himself is sending the snow, which seems a little intense.
Yes.
I don't know. Not a priest, not going to claim to be. But the reason why we don't issue snowfall forecasts with specificity this early on is that we're still at a time range where things really could change. And small changes, as we've seen so many times in the past, can make a big difference. In fact, really before today, or even late last night, this scenario happening in the first place wasn't the most likely outcome still.
Right.
It's still very much in doubt. And so at this point, that things have started to solidify a little bit, we can start to get a little more confident. Now, we will put out a snowfall forecast relatively soon once we do have more data. We just want to take in more. We don't want to give you some information before the holiday and then have it drastically change by Friday. And so be patient with us. You know that we're going to give you our absolute best forecast and absolute best work, as we always do. And it comes without the hype too. So that's what we're here for. In terms of where right now it looks like some of the heavier snowfall could occur. And remember, we showed you this last night, both on TV9 and here on the stream at the same time. These colors were a lot lighter.
Yeah, they were that purple, that white and that light purple color were all of eastern Iowa, and even parts of eastern Iowa weren't covered in that initially. And now almost all of eastern Iowa is covered in that darker purple blue color, which according to this is likely where we could see some of that potential for accumulating snow.
And remember where that low track was, and so you can see to the south where warmer air could limit some of that accumulation, and here in eastern Iowa where we'll have more access to cold air, both in that first push of moisture on Friday night and the additional stuff on Saturday. That's going to help to potentially increase those accumulation amounts. And remember, we could be measuring this with, at least a handful of inches, and so that's what's on the table for this one. So that's why that first alert day is there. We just want to draw your attention to it, especially around the travel holiday, but even on a non-holiday weekend, this sort of storm system would draw our attention to.
Right. I mean, it's going to be one of the busiest weekends of the year, and at this point, so we will definitely be wanting to make sure that we're constantly keeping up with you and alerting you to this first alert day and any changes that are going to be happening over the next 24, 48, 72 hours as this system continues to develop and we continue to get better and better models and more high resolution models. So just keeping in check with this storm, and we'll be always the first alert you to those changes with that first alert day.
Yeah, totally. And we will have more updates on KCRG.com, the KCRG First Alert Weather app, KCRG TV9, of course. We will join you again tomorrow night at this exact same time. Won't be us, but it will be other First Alert meteorologists and TV9 staff to help bring you the latest. And we don't shut down shop here as we go into the weekend, although I do want to give a heads up. On Friday, due to college football broadcast from ABC, our typical 4, 5, 6 p.m. and midday broadcasts are not on the schedule. So that's one of those days where we will likely provide some more information here on streaming, as well as through those other digital channels, and then we'll be back with you at 10 o'clock that night to give sort of a last update before the snow really, really gets going. And so we just want you to stay tuned. Thursday, we've got on Thanksgiving our typical newscast, except for 4 o'clock. We won't be there for that, but the rest of the day, in between meals, in between trips back to leftovers, maybe take a little stop and check us out on TV9 so you can stay informed. But thanks for joining us tonight. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson.
I'm meteorologist Camille Dinka.
And have a good rest of your night.